Hello everyone, welcome to the first of our three-part editing series of webinars. My name's Trevor and I work in the content team at Smartbox. Our three-part editing series of webinars. My name's Trevor. Just bear with me for 1 second while I work in the content team at Smartbox. Sorry about that, you probably just heard my audio echoing out of my own speakers. So, apologies for that false start. So let's get into this. So yes, as I said, my name's Trevor. I work in the content team at Smartbox, which means that I create and edit grid sets pretty much all day, every day. And so I'm going to lead you through this first webinar. Tomorrow, Kerry will take you into the second part, which will sort of build on some of the basic skills we've looked at today and take everything a little bit further and go a bit more in depth. And then in part 3, Dave from our support team is going to take you through some of our tips and tricks to make editing a bit quicker, a bit more efficient, and just show you some clever stuff that you can do. So also online with us today we have Tom from our support team, and he's going to answer any questions that you have as we go through. So if you do have any questions as we go, you can just type them into the chat box at the side, and we'll attempt to answer your questions as we go. So over the next half an hour or so, we're going to learn how to create a new grid set, how to add and edit cells, and how to change their appearance as well. And we're going to do that by creating a simple single grid to talk about hot drinks. Okay, so we're just going to do that as an example of how this all can be done. So this session overall is going to familiarise you with the basics of editing in Grid 3 for Windows. Grids is a complete communication solution with a range of symbol and text vocabularies, as well as grid sets to support independence. So all of the skills we look at throughout this editing series can be used across the whole range of grid sets in Grid 3. So whether it's creating a grid set from scratch, like we're going to do this afternoon, or whether you just want to personalise and edit one of our pre-made grid sets, all the same skills will apply. Well, the sessions in this series are designed for beginners, so no prior knowledge of editing grid is required. So if you're sitting there sort of worried if this is going to be at the right level for you, this is aimed, if you're a complete beginner, this is aimed at you. Okay, so we're going to go into the grid software now, and the screen that you see here, we call this Grid Explorer, and this is where you launch your grid sets from. So we've got a couple of our pre-made grid sets installed here already, but what we're going to do is add a new grid set. So in Grid Explorer, if you want to add resources, then you click on this bar across the top, which we call the menu bar. So you can click anywhere along it, or you can click on the 3 lines in the corner there. And then we're going to choose the first option from this menu, Add Grid Sets. And here we've got quite a few options. The ones that are divided into these categories are to install pre-made grid sets that come with the software under these various categories. And so you can explore within those folders and add grid sets that way. You can also add a grid set from a grid set file if you had one on a memory stick that was a backup or something like that, or one that someone had shared with you. You can also explore online grids, and that is an online community where anyone can share grid sets that they have made. But what we're going to do this afternoon is select New, so we're going to create a blank grid set. So the first thing that I'll need to do is give my grid set a name. So I'm going to call it drinks. And then I need to decide what format, what size of grid set it's going to be, how many rows and columns. I'm going to choose 6 columns and 3 rows. So you just select from this drop down list and then the grid will be made to the size that you want it to be. And just before we create the grid set, in order to make the tile in Grid Explorer look like you want it to, you have some control here. You can put a picture or a symbol on the tile, and you can also change the background colour. So let's go to picture and change picture. And it's offered symbols that are based on the name of the grid set. So you could search for other symbols if you wanted to there, but by default it's searching on the name of the grid set, and I think that that symbol of someone drinking there is going to be appropriate. And let's just change the background colour. So again, click on the little drop down and we're going to make that a sort of an orangey yellow. So, and then we're ready to create the grid set. So just click OK. So the grid set's been made. It's now added to Grid Explorer, but I need to open it before I can edit it, and that is just simply a case of clicking on the tile, and we get a message. This grid set has nothing in it, why not edit it and create some cells? And that's exactly what we're going to do, because the grid set that we've made at the moment is completely blank. So if we want to do any editing, any changes to a grid set, we always have to go up to the menu bar at the top and then select Edit Grid. That'll take us into edit mode. Okay. So here's our blank grid, 3 rows and 6 columns. And the first thing I want to do is to start adding some vocabulary to this. So adding some drinks in. So I first of all just need to click on the cell that I want to edit, and you'll see that it becomes highlighted with these handles in the corners, like so. And then on the left hand side, you can see there's a button here that says Create Cell. And that's what we're going to do. Click on Create Cell. There's all kinds of cells you can make within Grid. You're going to see quite a few different ones over the next these 3 webinars. But the one that you use most commonly is the top one under Favorites, and it's a write cell, and that cell will write and speak the words or sentence that we're going to assign to it. So we select write and then click OK. So that's just telling Grid 3 what kind of cell we want to create. And as soon as we've done that, you can see that there's a flashing cursor now in the centre of the cell. So this particular grid is going to be all about hot drinks. So we'll start with the most important one, which is coffee. So I just type that there, and as I typed the label of the cell, symbols have been suggested based on that label. So we're going to go with that default one there. But you'll see there are also other alternatives offered in the ribbon bar at the top. So if I'm happy with the label and the symbol, I can just press enter, and that cell has now been created. And so when we're out of edit mode now, if we select that cell, it's going to say the word coffee, or if there's a chat writing area, it will write the word coffee into that sentence bar so that you can create a sentence with it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with cappuccino. So you select the blank area, you click create cell, we choose a right cell, and OK. And you see again that the symbol has been suggested, hit enter, and that cell has been made. So you can see it's really quick to add cells. So we'll do that again, click on the empty cell, create cell, right cell you'll notice is already selected because that was what we used last time, so I actually only need to click OK, type the label, symbol's been suggested, and press enter. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next column now. Now this time, rather than clicking on create cell, a quicker way, if you've already created a cell beforehand, if you just select the blank area and then press enter, and that will bring up this box, and because right is already highlighted, because that's what we did last, we can just hit enter again, and then type the name of our next drink, and that's going to be hot chocolate. So all the ones so far have been single words, and as I type hot, you'll see we get one symbol suggested, but as I carry on and type the two words, both of those words are taken into account and a different symbol is suggested. So it went from the temperature gauge to a suitable symbol for hot chocolate. So again, I can just hit enter. Okay, so if you remember, the quick way to create the next cell is to select it, press enter again, and we're straight into this one, which is going to be a latte. Press enter, and then again, empty cell, press enter, enter again, and this time I'm going to put loose tea. And you see, as I completed the second word again, a suitable symbol is suggested. Okay. Now, if we want to move any cells around the grid, it's just a case of click and drag, okay, like so. So it's really intuitive. And if you want to swap the location of two cells, just drag one to the location of the other. So I'm going to swap loose T and T here. So click, drag, move it across to where T was, and you'll see that they've swapped places. Equally, we could swap tea and coffee like so. Actually, I want coffee to be on the top row. I didn't really want to do that. So what I can do in anything that I've done in edit mode, I can click undo and it'll go back one step. And I can keep clicking undo up until the last point that the grid set was saved as well. Okay, now we've got one more drink to enter before we move on to the next phase. So hit enter twice, and I'm going to put espresso. Press enter. Okay, so what we've been doing is actually just choosing the first symbol that's offered, and very often that is a suitable choice. If it's not, you'll get some alternatives in this bar here. But if you want something else that hasn't been suggested, you can always actually go to find picture. You can type a different search term in order to find the symbol, or you can navigate through by category if you want to. But the other options are that perhaps you've got a photograph that you want on a cell, something like that. You can then just select picture file and browse and point it at the folder where your pictures are stored. And you can also do a web search. Say if you wanted the logo of a particular shop or something like that, you can do a web search to get that image. And camera lets you just take a photo with the built-in camera on your device and assign it to a cell. So I'm just going to cancel that because I'm actually going to go with the default symbol, but I wanted to show you that those other choices are there. So at this point, I'm going to save my work so far and just test out what I've done. So when I finished editing, I just click on the tick underneath the grid set over there, and it'll say, do you want to save your changes? And I'll say yes. And
hot chocolate, espresso.
So now I'm able to at least name a few drinks.
Good.
Okay, so that's the start of our grid set, but it's by no means finished. So I'm going to go back into edit mode, and that's by clicking on the menu bar and then on edit grid, or if you have a keyboard attached, you can just press F11 as the shortcut to get to edit mode. Okay, so we've got the names of some drinks. I'm going to quickly add some more cells now. I'm going to add some pronouns down the left hand side. So I'm going to go with I, and I'll need to choose a symbol this time. So I'm going to select that one, enter. And then you, and it, okay, so we've got some pronouns. Now we're going to add some verbs. Process is exactly the same. Want, stop, and like. Okay, so we've got our pronouns, we've got some verbs, and then we're going to add some describing words here. So let's say good, and we'll actually add the word more as well, which is useful on a drinks page. Okay, so up to this point, we do now, we have the words to construct some sentences around hot drinks. But at the moment, all we can do is speak these words one at a time, because we don't have a chat writing area in which to construct a sentence. So I'm going to add that next. But you can see that at the moment, we don't have room for that. And so if you need to create some room for some more cells, what we need to do is, if you look at the top of the screen, we've been on the Home tab so far, but there are also tabs for Style, Layout and Grid, and also Grid Set on the left. So we're going to go to the Layout tab next. And if you've ever used tables in Microsoft Word, to add rows or columns into a table, you'll be very familiar with this process. What I need to do is select a cell that's on the top row because I want my chat writing area to be at the top of the screen. So I'm going to select a cell on the top row, and then I'm going to choose Insert Above. And that's going to add in an extra row. It'll obviously have the effect of making the existing cell smaller because we're fitting more onto the page. So I've got room now to add a chat writing area. And we're going to create the chat writing area now. This is the first cell that we've made today that isn't a write cell. So I won't be doing the just pressing enter twice now because I'm going to be creating something different. So I'm going to click create cell. And within Grid, different types of cells are organised by category, depending on what kind of action you're looking to create. A chat writing area is going to be in the chat and writing category. So we're going to go into there and browse through the commands that are available. So if you're sort of browsing and trying to just sort of see what there is and come across the thing that you want, you can browse by category in this way. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can just search for it by clicking on the search in the top right. Let's go into chat and writing. And next. So in this top level, there's nothing there that says chat writing area, so I just need to scroll down because there are a lot more commands underneath. And the first of the ones under chat is what we're looking for. That's the chat writing area. If I wasn't sure if this was what I was looking for or not, I can just click on it once and then click info, and I'll get a little description of what that command is all about. Well, that is the one that I want, so I'll select it and then click OK. So if I'm going to compose a sentence, I'm probably going to need a cell that is larger than this one. So we've looked already at how to move cells around. That's just a click and drag. But you'll also see there are these sort of handles on the corners of the cell. And you can click on that and drag one of the handles and just drag it in the direction you want to resize it. So we're going to drag that across 4 columns like so. So we've looked at creating new cells, we've looked at adding a chat writing area, which involved adding an extra row. What if you want to edit a cell that is already there? How would you do that? Well, we're going to change the coffee cell. We're going to change it so it says more specifically how I like my coffee. So if I select that cell, you can see that at the moment it's got a write command on it, and it's going to say the word coffee, which is written there. And at the moment, there's a switch here that says same as cell label, and that's switched on. And that means that the cell is going to say or write exactly the same thing as is on the label. But what I want to do is I want to make this cell say a few extra words, and I don't want all those words to appear on the cell label because there'd be basically too much text and it would end up all a bit small. So I'm going to change same as cell label to off, and then here in this box underneath I'm going to type that I want this cell to say black coffee extra strong. Okay, so the cell label still says coffee, but it's going to write something longer. So let's just give that a quick test. Finish editing, save changes.
I want black coffee extra strong.
Okay, so that's all working. What we're going to do now is look at how you change the appearance of the cells on the grid. And we're going to look at sort of colour coding this grid a little bit. So we're going to make the pronouns a different colour. So I'll select the word I, and I'm going to go to Style at the top. Remember we went to Layout before, this time we're going to Style. And you'll see the things here that you can change. You can change the font and the size and the font colour and all that. All those options are there. I'm going to change the fill colour, and I'm going to make that sort of a pale yellow. And so I could go through and change every cell individually, but that would take a little bit of time. So Grid uses something called styles, which allows you to group cells together and assign them the same style, and then you can make changes to that style and it will update all the cells that use that same style. So I'm going to select New Style and call it Pronoun. And then if I select You, and then in this drop-down box under Style, I can just choose Pronoun. Same for it. And I'm going to do a similar thing with the verbs. So if I select Want, I'm going to go with a green colour. I'm going to make a new style, verb. And this time I'm going to select Stop and Like at the same time. I might as well change their style at the same time. So if I just click outside of the Stop cell and drag, just click and drag over the cells I want to select, and then just choose Verb under Styles. We'll do a similar thing with these cells here. I'm going to make those light blue. And we'll assign that cell the same style. And then I've got my actual context words, which I'm going to make a lilac colour. So let's choose the colour, create the style. Okay, now I want to select all the other cells that are like this. Now I could use the click and drag to select the cells like so, but then I haven't selected espresso, which is over here. What I can do is if I hold down the Control key and then click on espresso, I can select multiple cells in that way as well. So if I was selecting more, I'm just holding down Control now. I could do that, and I could unselect it by keeping the Control key down. So let's assign the same style to all of these context words. And then let's say, well, I've changed my mind that that's not the colour I really want for this style. What I can do is if I select one of the cells, change the fill colour, and we're going to make them orange instead. So change that one, and then all I need to do is click on Update Style, and all the cells that use that style are updated with a single click. So that brings us to the end of this editing session. Just to recap, we've looked at how to create a new grid set. We've looked at how to create write cells and a chat writing area, how to add a row. We've learned how to move and resize cells, and we've learned how to modify cell appearance using styles. So that's just a little introduction to the basics of editing. I'll note that you can edit any grid set in this way. So we've created a brand new one, but equally if you just wanted to add some vocabulary words into Supercore or something like that, or you wanted to change the colours in Text Talker, you can edit those grid sets in exactly the same way. So what I'd probably recommend that you do after this session, when you get the link to the video, is if you want to try this for yourself, you could try recreating this drinks grid set up to the point that we've got it to today, and you can follow on the video and you can pause it as many times as you need to. If you have any questions, obviously you can type them into the chat, or you can also visit thinksmartbox.com, where so we have a live chat to our support team on there, and links to our learning resources, or you can always drop me an email. That's my address there on screen.